switch off my video. Okay, here the question is, consider a steam power plant operating on simple idle Rankine cycle. Steam enters the turbine at 3 megapascal and 350 degrees C. It's given over here. So try to take up one piece of a paper and pen and try to do along with me, or parallelly you should also do. Steam enters the turbine at 3, this one. So there is one pressure line over here. Okay, this is the turbine inlet would be the higher one, right? So let's suppose this is your vapor dome. Okay, and my cycle would look something like this. This is my state 1, state 2. This is my state 3. It goes come down here till state 4 and it will reach 1 again. And this is your turbine. 3 to 4 is your turbine and 3 is your turbine inlet. So this pressure, constant pressure line, is given P. Let's suppose I could take up this as P2 is equal to P3, whatever, 2 and 3 will be on same pressure line, and this is 3 MPa, and the temperature here is 350 degree Celsius, is condensed in a condenser at pressure 75 kPa. So again, this also is given, this pressure line is also given. So this P1 is equal to P4 is also given 75 kPa. Determine the thermal efficiency of this cycle. We need to deduce the eta for this particular cycle. For eta we need, so what are the other details we should have?
Sir, we shall know the H values of different stages.
Exactly. Who is this?
David?
Thank you. So we should have H values at all states. Thank you. This is what we should think should come into mind. Once we have H values, so essentially I should have calculated H1, H2, H3 and H4, then we are done. We could calculate efficiencies very easily. Okay, let's suppose I have a state at this particular state. So at state 1, so what is my P? P is given, so P is essentially my P1 is equal to 75 kPa. What else? It will have some entropy. S1 is equal to S2, and here S3 is equal to S4 will be there, since these are isentropic processes, pump and turbine. Okay, and what is this state? This state is essentially a saturated liquid state. This also we know, we start with. Okay, so can we go and check the table? In the table, saturated liquid table, at this particular pressure, what are my H values and my, let's suppose I also want to calculate the specific volume, so V1. So shall we go? Yes, we can. So is this visible, this table?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have to go to saturated water A4 or maybe A5 pressure table, since pressure is given. So we go to A4. You guys should also follow that parallelly. So A5. Okay, and A5 we have 75 kPa. We should follow this particular row. So we have saturated volume is this much. We got one data. And we don't internal energy. Yes, we need enthalpies. So enthalpies I can calculate. So H1, since this is saturated liquid, so HF we need require. So this 384.44. These two things are we need to see right here. So H1 was how much? H1 was at 75 kPa. It was 384.44 kilojoule per kg. And V1 specific volumes are also given 0.001037 meter cube per kg. It was also given. So H1 is known here. Now let's find it out. H2. What are my H2s?
We need to find out at pressure equal to 3 megapascal.
Pressure at 3 megapascal. Thank you. Yes, we can do that. So what are the other details we have? We have also this is isentropic and pressure P2 is equal to 3 megapascal and S1 is equal to S2. These two things are given. So either we can calculate directly the H2 from the table, or there is one more way to do that. Since this is a process that is going from 1 to 2 by pump, so work in is coming and your enthalpies jump from H1 to H2. So H2 can also be deduced as H1 plus work of pump. Either you can go this way or you can also reduce with P2 also.
Sir, this one is difficult method.
Which one? This one?
Yes, sir. H2 finding out from work of pump and H1.
Okay.
Sir, so we shall stick to the table only.
Okay, so let's go to the table. So this is your table. But we don't know that what my state is. 2 is a bit fishy. It's in
Sir,
subcooled.
cannot we say that it is liquid?
Subcooled. It's not yet saturated pressure. So table won't give me effective, accurate results. But this will give me the accurate result. Okay. Subcooled things you are going to estimate it as saturated liquid sort of approximation, and then you should find. But this will give you better result. It seems accurate result. So they will stick with this. We can also do that, and you should do that and tell me the answer side by side. Somebody has to do. Okay, so so H1 is known. What is my pump work? So pump work we have already seen from our previous understanding that it should be specific volume times the pressure jump it causes. Okay, so we can actually write this as H1 plus P1, sorry, V1 times P2 minus P1. H1 is known, 384.44 plus V1, specific volume is written over here, 001037 times P2 minus P1. So P2 minus P1 is given 3 minus 75. So 3 3 is mega, so I can should convert
3 minus 0.075.
So let's take things into appropriate units. Try not to deviate from units. So this is kilojoule per kg. So let's be in kilopascals. So 3 megapascal will be how much kilopascal? 10 to the power 3. So 3000 kilopascal here minus 75 kilopascal, and things will be in kilojoules now, right? So do we have calculators? Let's find it out. Okay, so quickly I should do that. This is also could be seen from for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
So it is 3.033.
Okay, so this is 384.44. Okay, sorry.
Sir, final answer 387.47.
Fine. So okay, what has done? Shit. Okay, it's there. So this comes out to be
387.
387. So this would constitute a little amount. Little amount
Yes,
could
sir,
be 3.
about 3.34.
So
03, yes, sir.
84.44 plus 3.03. So this would constitute 387.47 kilojoules per kg. Good one. So we have deduced our H2. So now H2 is also known. What next? What next?
Sir, H3.
Right.
Quite simple to find out. Superheated vapor.
Yes, good one. So at state 3, P3 is given 3 MPa, and this state is superheated. So who else are following? This comes into superheated. Who else is not able to? I mean, till this far, who is? I mean, anybody who is not able to understand why it is in superheated state will be in trouble, because the course has been in such a midway that you cannot ask these questions. So anybody who doesn't know about why it is in superheated state, I hope everybody is following this. Okay, so now let's go to superheated state. Okay. Let's go to the table. Saturated. This is superheated, and I have 3 MPa. So this is 1, 2, 3. So yes. So this is 3 MPa table. Okay. At 3 MPa, you are going to see at what temperature. So temperature also we need to see, because temperature is also given. This is 350 degrees.
350 degrees Celsius.
At 350 degrees C, I have to check with these numbers. So these numbers are V, U, H. So I want to deduce H, S at least. H and S, right? H and S. So H will be second last and last. So I should write these two numbers. Okay, so this number and this number. So 3116.1 and 6.7450. These two numbers I should write here. So H3 directly I could get 31161 kilojoule per kg. And I guarantee you these kind of questions you must expect in your IAS examination. IES or IAS, these bigger questions you should expect. Okay, not gate should be easier one, maybe 1 step or 2 step, not this whole thing, but you should expect in your higher level examinations such as Indian Administrative Services or Indian Engineering Services, those kind of examination you should expect these questions. this would be very fruitful to currently understand these concepts right now if you want to crack these examinations. So yes, S3 was 6.7450 kilojoule per kg Kelvin or degree C. So these two things are here. So S3 is equal to S4. But the problem with S4 is, so this was superheated. But the problem with something like this. Problem with 4 is you cannot tell that 4 is exactly saturated vapor. Okay, cannot tell that saturated vapor. It could be the mix. So you are in mixed position. Okay, you have mixture of. So this is a. So 3 is okay. So at state 4, so 3 we have devised this. 4 we have P1 is equal to P4 again. That is 75 kilopascal. That is condenser pressure. And H4 I need to calculate, where S3 I have calculated, which is equal to S4 again, because this is isentropic. This is the data we have. We are being told. Okay, so with this S4, can we calculate, since this is a mixture of liquid and vapor. So can we calculate the quality X with this data? So yes, we can see the quality. So how we can calculate the quality? We have something. So S4, can it be written as SF fluid plus X times SFG? Remember, at any intermediate position can be written in terms of the saturated vapor entropy or saturated vapor, or the similar formula we can calculate with this HF plus HXFG. Remember these two formulas? So since we have S4 data, we can plug it in here. SF we can calculate from table since we have pressures, and SFG also can table. So from here we can take out the quality, right? And this quality can be plugged in here to get the H4 data. Agree? So X is equal to S4 minus SF divided by SFG. What is my S4? 6.7450 minus SF. So SF, can we see data? SF again at saturated liquid. Yes, we could go from this table again. So this table again at 75, since the condenser pressure is 75 kilopascal. So here for entropy, so this SFG and SF are also will be taken to get the quality. And when this quality is we have seen, then we can actually use this data also to get the intermediate H4, right? Okay, so this is one more thing I can do. Okay, good, cool. No, I cannot do that. Fine. So this SF was 1.2132 divided by the SFG. What was my SFG? You can actually see the table again. It was something 626426. It comes out to be 0.88. The quality is this much. So what is the meaning of quality?
So it is the ratio of
mass of
liquid and vapor.
Liquid and vapor, or vapor or by liquid?
I mean vapor and liquid.
Yes, mass of vapor by mass of liquid. Okay, so once we got this, we can actually reduce H4 as HF will be again taken from table. So HF was 384.44, and this is the saturated thing. The previous H thing plus quality is given 0.88 times HFG can also be taken up from the table. So this is, so H4 comes out to be 2403 kilojoule per kg. Okay, now everything thing is in our hand now. What should we do?
Sir, now we have reduced the formula of efficiency,
Good.
which is 1 minus H4 minus H1 divided by H3 minus H2.
Yes. So can I calculate? So efficiency is what? 1 minus Q out by Q in. And what was my Q out? So Q out is equal to H4 minus H1, and Q in is equal to H3 minus H2. So we can plug in all those things and we get that H4 minus H1 was 2018 and this was 2728, and it comes out to be 0.26, that is 26% of efficiency it comes. Okay, here I want you guys to be attentive here, because the same we remember we have formulated this formula from two equations, one from here and one from this also, to the pump work also. So can we calculate from there? And if you calculate from that formula also, again you will get 0.26 from that formula also. Okay, do the calculation, you will get. Okay, so the point I want to make here is the back work ratio. Okay, so the pump work is, how much pump work is getting? You see, pump work was very less, right? It was 3.03, right? 3.03 kilojoule per kg. And what was my turbine workout? Turbine workout was S3 minus S4. It comes out to be 713. Okay. So see, what is the portion that this pump is actually, what is the ratio? Backwork ratio. Backwork ratio is, this backwork ratio is very less, 3 upon 713. So it comes out to be 0.004. So it is about 0.4% of what the turbine output was giving. That is why it is advantageous for a power cycle to work in alternate liquid and vapor modes, so that once it is in liquid phase you can actually pump things, and through pump you will see that you have very less amount of work. With gas power cycles you are working in only one phase, and you see that compressors more than 50 to 60% of whatever the turbine output you are getting. So that is that, you can see the advantage of running the steam power plant with pump. So your turbine is okay, but you are actually inputting the energy from pump, and this is so good to work with, isn't it? So this is the beauty of working with steam power plant with a pump. So that is why these gas power plants are not used widely, okay, because of their inefficient model. Okay, so we have still 15 minutes. We can go ahead with some few more topics. How can we increase the efficiency of Rankine cycle? So still we are so greedy that we still want to increase our Rankine cycle efficiency. So remember our heat engine. So let's talk about something. Our heat engine, it takes heat from high temperature source, so QH or TH, and it gives me some work and it releases QL at TL. What was the efficiency for this particular heat engine? We got 1 minus QL by QH, or if we talk about in terms of Carnot cycle, 1 minus TL by TH. Okay, now focus here. What if my TL is much lower and TH is much higher? Either one of it, or let's suppose one is constant and another should be lowered. So in general, if your lower temperature, I mean your sink, this is your source and this is your sink. If your sink temperature, or in Rankine cycle, your condenser temperature is lowered, or your source temperature is, source here is boiler temperature is heightened, then you can see that your efficiency will eventually increase. Okay, and this is the key behind increasing the efficiency of Rankine cycle as well. So increase the average temperature at which the heat is transferred to the working fluid in the boiler, or decrease the average temperature at which heat is rejected from the working fluid in condenser. So in both the cases, if you are going to increase the boiler temperature, okay, fair enough. If you decrease the condenser temperature, average temperature, it also going to, both is going to affect your increase your efficiency of the Rankine cycle. Let's see how. So first, let's take the case of lowering the condenser pressure, lower temperatures or lower temperature. So if you are lowering the pressure, in turn you are lowering the temperature as well. So how? We'll see here. This is your T, this is your S. This was your initial. You are going from here, here. This is your 1, 2, 3. This is your 4, and this is 1 again. So now what you do, you are actually lowering your you have lowered your pressure, condenser pressure. So this is higher, this is lower. Okay, at some lower pressure, I don't want to quantify it right now, but let's see some lower temperature is there. So now your cycle is starts from 1 dash. It goes something like this. It goes like this, and it comes back here, 4 dash. Okay. Now you can see that now you have extra sorry, here till here you have extra work net. So how do you calculate the work net in a TS diagram? See, this is your TS diagram, and let's suppose you have some plot. Let's suppose I am going from here to here. Let's suppose 1 to 2, and 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. I'm going something like this. Okay. So TDS. So remember TDS is it what was that? It was the amount of heat that is being transferred. Okay, TDS. So area under T, I mean area under this TS plot will give you the dq amount of heat that is going to be transferred. Okay, so from 1 to 2 you have this much area, this whole area, and this is the heat given to the system, or Q in, and this is Q, and 3 to 4 is Q out of the system. So this is Q out. So the net is this much. I mean, let me draw this with some other pen. So the net amount is the middle one, and middle one is what? Q in minus Q out, and for a cyclic process this is your work net. So essentially what my point is here is, in TDS plot, in a cyclic TDS plot, the area under the curve, the whole curve, is basically your work net, right? Can I write that? No, nobody answered. Can I write that the area under the enclosed curve is the work net for a cyclic process?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now in similar way I can actually making things. So in the first shot, what I did, I have calculated some area. So this was my area, initial area, and in the second shot I have a bigger area, right? So I have a bigger area. It is something like, so I have a bigger area, something like this, isn't it? This much was bigger. Okay, this whole was bigger. So how much net extra work that I am getting? Sorry, so this one, right? This one is the extra thing I am getting if I am lowering the temperature. Understood? This green one. So this is the green one. I am getting out of it when I am lowering the condenser pressure. So once your work net is, you have extra work net, then you have your efficiency has increased. Okay. In similar way, can I do superheating of steam to higher temperatures? And this gives the notion of higher boiler temperatures. How? Let's see here. So I have 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and come again. Okay. Now what I am doing? Now I am increasing my this temperature to a even higher temperature. I am going here, 3 dash. Now I am coming back to certain place. Okay. Let me remind you that my something like this. Okay. So okay. So what extra work I am doing? This much, right? Isn't it? I'm doing extra work. But yes, this is your W net extra. If you are going 1, 2, 3, 4, you are getting this much area, this in between area. When you are going 1, 2, 3, 3 dash and 4 dash, and then coming back again, so the whole area. So as compared to the last one, we are getting this much area extra, and this is your extra work that increases your efficiency of your overall Rankine cycle. But there is one problem with this. Once you do this, you are actually losing your quality, losing the quality of steam. Okay, that is not advantageous, but we can do by some modification, and that is called reheating. We'll talk in few slides later. Okay, and here what could be the disadvantage? Lowering the condenser pressure. here also you are losing some quality. See, it was somewhere here, it was close to superheat saturated vapor, but now it is here and it is far from here. Also you are losing quality. Okay, you can very well do that, but you are in turn losing your quality, and which in turn will not be advantageous for turbines, because turbines cannot give good performance at when the quality of steam is lower.
Sir, what if we change it, make changes in the pressure, sir?
This one, the pressure doesn't, we don't increase the pressure or anything. Pressure will be same, intact, same. We go till this line somewhere here in superheated, more superheated, higher temperatures. One more thing is turbines are also designed for some particular threshold limits. It cannot go till 600 degrees C or more because of its thermal, material properties. It may melt, or I don't know, maybe some mechanical or material failure may occur, right, at very high temperature. So the turbines are designed so that it should not work more than some threshold temperatures. Okay, so this is also one disadvantage here. Okay, so the last thing is we can again also do some one more modification, that is increase the boiler pressure. Okay, so increasing the boiler pressure means what? So initially you have 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now what you are doing, you are increasing your pressure, so you are going 2 to 2 dash, and now you are expanding things at higher pressure. Okay, you are going somewhere here, 3 dash, and now you are coming back here. But the problem here is you will certainly get some net workout, but there is some decrease of decrement of work also. You will get work net decrease, extra work you will lose, and this is the extra work you will gain. Let's suppose W1 net will be increased, so this area has been additional you get, but this area you will lose in some sense.
Sir, I was pointing out this only.
Oh, this one? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this who is this? David?
Yes, sir, they were.
Okay, good one. Yes, so these 3 modifications we can do, but here also this again, this T max is limited for certain turbines, and also we are again, by doing that, we are also losing the quality again. We are shifting left side, so losing quality of steam, right? So in order to do that, what we can do, we can actually think of something like this. We can, so there comes something called reheating, idle reheat Rankine cycle. So in reheating, what they do is, they go somewhere here, 3. See, there will be 2 turbines here, so this will be undergone through turbine 1, expanded through turbine 1, it reaches somewhere intermediate place 4, and we reheat again at constant pressure. So this will be some other, so there will be one other pressure line over here, and it will be expanded at this particular pressure line. Okay, and so it will go somewhere here, and we should not cross the limit of turbine, the material limit of maximum it can reach. We should not cross that, and we can actually come back to some place here, and we can come. So this is actually a parallel line. I'm sorry. So this is a parallel line. We can actually do these kind of things. So this particular process is called reheating. This 4 to 5 thing is called reheating at constant pressure again. And now this is expanded from 5 to 6. It is expanded by turbine 2, and this was expanded in turbine 1, which is called high pressure turbine, because it works at high pressures, high pressure turbine. And this is called low pressure turbine, because it is expanded very lower pressures at condenser pressures, very lower. It works at lower pressures relatively. So this is called turbine 2. And this 3 to 4 process is called reheating. Basically, this reheating is been done again in the boiler. And
Excuse me, sir.
Huh.
Sir, one question. Sir, while explaining, while we started this Rankine cycle, sir, you mentioned one more turbine which was a intermediate pressure, sir. So where it is included?
Not intermediate. I told that there will be 2 turbines.
No, sir, 3 turbines. Sir, in the diagram itself, there were 3.
Which diagram? Can you show me?
Sir, the first diagram.
First time, let me go there. This one?
No, sir, even before this, you showed one whole mechanism in the video, I guess, sir.
Oh, okay, in video. Okay. I have to check because I don't seen that there would be any intermediate turbine. There will be only 2 turbines.
But there was a mention of that there is a intermediate turbine which works between moderate pressures between high and low.
Okay. Maybe they might be doing reheating 2-3 times. So it
Yes,
may be
sir.
there might be 2-3 stages. Like this is one stage of reheating. You can also do something like this. You go
So,
here.
sir, we can reheat as many as times
Yes.
between the maximum temperature limit.
Yes. So 1 turbine, 2 turbine, intermediate turbines you can actually think of. Yes, but we cannot go in indefinite, like infinite many times. Why? Because you should have some
Sir, there will be power loss in every turbine.
You should have incurring the cost. So many turbines. Why should you put so many turbines? It will increase your cost and it will increase your maintenance. So at least 1 or 2 stages is okay, fine for that. And you will see that for these efficiency may increase 4 to 5%. I mean, people have seen that. Yes. So without taking the disadvantages of what these things are happening here, we can actually reheat and get the maximum thing out of it. So yes, so let's how can we take the advantage increase in the higher blood pressure and facing the. So yes, we can actually so we are coming back to the same place. So high quality steam also here, and we are also subjecting to maximum temperature. So all sorts shortcomings has been overcome here by reheating that. Okay, so this is the 2 turbines that I have shown here. So 1 turbine, and this again is being reheated from the boiler with constant pressure, and again fed to low pressure turbine and expanded to high. So this is the thing I was talking about. So this, let me finish this and we'll go in 2 minutes. So in general, your Q in will be now Q primary plus Q reheat. Okay, so the reheat thing, I mean, what you have gone through is this reheating. Reheating is H5 minus H4. This is your previous H3 minus H2. Work turbine out will be turbine 1 plus turbine 2. So H3 minus H4 and H5 minus H3. The whole efficiency can now be written as W turbine out divided by Qn. So this by this you can do. You will see the efficiency. Okay, and we see that it increases 4 to 5%. So in the next class, we will take up one example and we'll talk about something called regenerative Rankine cycle in the next class. And what else? Second law analysis of vapor power cycles we'll see. And then cogeneration, there is one more good topic, and then it will be finished. Okay, then will be one more topic, combined gas and power cycles. So there will be 2 separate modules of vapor power, gas power and vapor power, which will be combined in some form, and we'll talk about in combined gas power cycle. This is also important, and this will finish our chapter. So any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, No, sir.
So let me take the attendance. Do we have another class now?
Yes, sir. We have another class.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took more time today. So yes, you guys may leave now. I'll stop recording. I'll put these things on YouTube also.